The centralized sequencer problem. Most Ethereum Layer 2s are currently operating as centralized databases protected by little more than a transparency report. While these rollups inherit security from the base layer, their transaction ordering remains a single point of failure and a primary source of censorship risk. Espresso Mainnet 0 launched to address this specific structural weakness by replacing the solo operator with a decentralized coordination layer. By moving the sequencing logic off the individual rollup and into a shared environment, the protocol attempts to solve the fragmentation that has turned the modular ecosystem into a collection of isolated liquidity silos. This shift toward shared sequencing fundamentally changes the trust assumptions of the network. HotShot consensus and fast finality. The engineering core of this system is the HotShot consensus protocol, designed to achieve transaction finality in roughly 2 to 6 seconds. On-chain data from this quarter shows the network processing millions of blocks across integrated chains like ApeChain and Rari. Unlike Ethereum's 12-minute finality, Espresso provides what they call a global confirmation layer, where validators use proof of stake to reach agreement on transaction ordering before the data even hits Layer 1. This setup functions as a high-speed nervous system for rollups, but the trade-off is the added complexity of a secondary consensus layer that must remain stable and performant to avoid stalling the chains plugged into it. This mechanism enables the next evolution in cross-chain coordination, the mechanism of atomic composability. Shared sequencing is more than just a decentralization tool. It is an interoperability primitive. In a single sequencer world, a transaction on one rollup cannot reliably trigger an event on another without waiting for lengthy settlement times. Because Espresso orders transactions for multiple rollups simultaneously, it allows for atomic bundles. This means a developer can design a trade that only executes if the conditions are met on 2 separate chains at the exact same time. This design choice effectively treats the entire rollup ecosystem as a single, unified execution environment. However, this creates a competitive marketplace for block space, where builders must coordinate across multiple state routes, adding a layer of sophisticated economic engineering to every transaction. This leads us to the long-term impact on the Ethereum roadmap, the signal under the noise. The transition of the Espresso network to a permissionless proof-of-stake model this year marks a significant pivot from theoretical research to production-grade infrastructure. By integrating with major stacks like the OP stack through Celo and Arbitrum Orbit, the protocol is attempting to prove that shared sequencing is the only viable path to solve the liquidity fragmentation that nearly killed the AppChain thesis. The real story isn't the total transaction count, but rather the structural shift in where value is captured. We are seeing a transition where the sequencer fee revenue, once the exclusive domain of individual rollup foundations, is being redistributed into a decentralized validator set. This experiment will determine if rollups can remain sovereign while surrendering their ordering rights to a third-party layer. The critical indicator to watch over the next 6 months will be the adoption rate of the shared marketplace and whether the latency overhead of a decentralized set can compete with the raw speed of centralized operators. If the sub-second finality targets are hit by the end of 2026, the era of the isolated rollup is officially over. Subscribe for more.